You know, South Africa is a country beset with many, many problems. And here on the weekly update, we have highlighted so many of the problems, and sometimes it can get downright depressing. Let's have a change of pace. Let's have a look at solutions in the hope that somewhere out there, there's a politician who's watching this in our government of national unity that actually can see what could be done. Because despite everything that goes on, I remain optimistic about South Africa. And I do it because it just seems so simple for us to turn this place around and make it a prosperous, happy place for all of us. So let's dive into some of the easy to spot gaps that need to be implemented in order for South Africa to be the best version of itself and to be a prosperous place for the people there. So I'm going to start off by taking a very, very simple definition of the role of government. Okay, the role of government is basically three things. It exists to provide an environment for its citizens where they can live safely, productively, and happily. That's what a government is there to do. That's why they are there to serve us, to provide us with those things. So I'm not going to go into the minor detail because obviously some of these solutions would be quite difficult, but at least it's a start. And here's a start. So let's tackle the difficult one first, and that's safety and security. Because without safety and security, it's very hard to be happy or prosperous. Now, we know that we've got an out of control crime problem. In fact, this was put on show in one of the most shameful performances that a real whole president of a country went to sit in front of the real whole president of the United States to say, we don't have a genocide, we've just got out of control crime, so I don't know what the problem is. That's the guy who has been president for 8 years, and before that he was deputy president for 5 years, telling the world that we've got a crime problem. So nothing to see how everybody's getting murdered. Right, let's rather tackle the issue rather than using those gutless sort of platitudes to try and keep people off the scent. South Africa's got a crime problem, right? We've got a violence problem. And there's only one way to tackle that, and that is with zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. So start there. Just at least acknowledge that we're not going to say, just give us a streetwise 2 and you can go on your way. No. Zero tolerance at every level. Easy to say, quite hard to do. Yeah, just some of the things that we can do. Let's start here. How about we put our criminal justice system from the police station all the way through to the judge making the decision at the end of the court case onto an electronic system? I mean, it is shameful. We're in 2025 and everything that is done on a paper-based system as if it's 1925. So at least let's give our law enforcement a fighting chance. And then we have to be ruthless, and we've got to understand that, as has been said by people before, every now and again you need a public hanging. You need somebody senior to be taken away in shackles. Right? You need to put people in our criminal justice system that are brave enough to arrest very senior people. They are out there. We all remember how effective the Scorpions were. The Scorpions were shut down not because they weren't good. They were shut down because they were too good. They were carting off people by the ton, till eventually politicians had one of two options. Either they had to become law-abiding or they had to get rid of the Scorpions. So Jacob Zuma and his team got rid of the Scorpions. So let's understand that there's probably young people out there who are watching this that would be brave enough to put politicians, senior civil servants, policemen behind bars. They're there. We just need to find them. Right? So I know that doesn't go into the detail because there's lots of other problems, but at least we can start there. Let's get digitized. Let's find some brave people. Let's get rid of the bad ones. Then we're going to talk about the economy, which is the largest part of our problem. We've got this massive unemployment rate. We can start finding places that we can make South Africa more productive. And it's got to start with the psychology, this terrible weight that we have around our necks about South Africa. And it starts off with this bloated, bureaucratic government of ours. It's a drain on any person in this country that knows that our money goes towards 34 cabinet ministers and 40 deputy ministers. Are you joking? Right? We need to cut those cabinet posts. Why do we have a Department of Science and Technology? Come on, that's just a Jobs for Pals arrangement. You know? We've got a Ministry of Small Business. Ever since that ministry was established in 2009, the number of small businesses has gone down. So I'm saying it's not just this terrible bloat that we look up and see this big fat creature called the government. It's the fact that in many cases, these cabinet positions that shouldn't exist in the first place literally get in the way. Because what are you going to do if they make you a minister of small business? Well, you're going to start writing regulations for small business that doesn't need more regulation. So by its very action, by its very existence, the Ministry of Small Business hurts small business. Let's get rid of it. You know, no successful country has got a Ministry of Sport. Sport is one of the biggest industries in the world. We've got sporting bodies. We've got private sports teams. What do you need a ministry for? Let's get rid of at least 20 of these ministries. Right? The US operates on less than 10 cabinet posts. Come on. Right? And all those deputy ministers out. I would love somebody to do what Javier Milei did in Argentina and just cut those cabinet posts. I think it would make the country a lot more productive. Then we get into the actual business of business. Now, let's understand that you've heard me say this before. We've got some real economy killers on our law books. And this goes with the ANC's obsession about race. Now, obviously, very easy to say, it'll get massive resistance, but hey, today I'm out there giving ideas of what can work and what will be the only way it could work. You know, nobody ever thought that you'd hear ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe asking white farmers to come back. So let's dream a little, because certain things here have to change. We've passed the Expropriation Act. I've spoken about this ad nauseum. It's an economy killer. You're not going to get international investment while you've got a bad law like this on your books. Fix it up. Then we've got all of these other race-based laws, employment equity, BEE. Do you know that the government spends 25% more on everything because of BEE legislation? Just recently, we had this debacle with the budget where the finance minister couldn't find enough money to run the government, but yet he's overpaying by 25%. We've got a R1 trillion budget. That works out to 250 billion rand more that we are spending on BEE. Simple. Cut it. What do we need it for? Really? Come on, we're all South Africans. Have your rules, but that's a ridiculous way to do it. Let's get the best person at the best price to do the job. Okay? The country will take care of itself. We're not going back to apartheid. The people that are here are South African as much as the next one, or else give that sector of the population a tax break. So, that's low-hanging fruit. Then we get to some of the other beauties that sit in the way of the economy. Mining. South Africa was built on mining. South Africa's got blessed with resources like we can't believe. The ANC hated the fact that white people made money out of mining. So what did they do? They made it impossible for anybody to do mining. Now, South Africa continues to slip in the world of mining. We're now out of the top 20 as mining destinations, largely because since Gwede Mantashe became the Minister of Mining, he just will not give out mining licenses. So nobody is mining. Well, that would be great if we had factories producing goods, but we've got nothing. We've got nothing, right? So therefore, right now, when everybody says, oh, well, we need to do something, let's start with mining. It's a place we can get revenue tomorrow by granting mining licenses, and we can have it with rules and regulations, man. Taxation. Get your money. Just get it from these people. It's all there. They'll come and do it. But don't create these other obstacles. It's hard enough to run a business. Stop it with the obstacles. Decide that we need it. Get those mining companies in. The world's dominated by very big mining companies. They've got big budgets. They can come and exploit what we've got, and we can tax the hell out of them at a rate along the rest of the world. It'll help the country, and at least we'll get some value out of our resources. At the moment, we're getting nothing. Cut the red tape. We've said this so many times. Cut the red tape. It is impossible to run a business in this country because we've got miles and miles and miles of red tape. And just by going back to some of the race-based stuff, that's providing half of the red tape. Let's stop it with that. Let's make it easier for people to start business. Let's get everybody into that tax net. In other words, if you're running a business, you better be registered. But the country can give concessions to small businesses. You can do whatever you like as long as people are in the net. Okay? This goes back to what we are talking about with safety and security, zero tolerance. Here are the laws. If you want to open your spaza shop, you better get this license, you better pay this tax, etc. Simple. Make it easy like it is in many other countries. You know, in Rwanda, you can go and register your business in a one-stop shop in one day. One day, everything's taken care of. Your business compliance, your tax compliance, everything in one place, bang, you walk out of that and you've got a business. In South Africa, it takes months. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. These are the kind of efficiencies that would help us to make money and grow this economy. So it's there. South Africans are a very entrepreneurial nation. We would get a lot of value out of that. Then probably the biggest impediment at the moment to running a business are government services. Now, this is where the government should be focusing. That pothole is costing everybody money. Not just the person who drives into it and his car, he has to replace his wheel, but the fact that your businesses don't run smoothly because everybody's avoiding potholes. Your streetlights aren't working. This hurts productivity. This hurts security and safety. The government's job is to provide infrastructure, nothing else. Get out of our lives. Just do the infrastructure, right? Do the infrastructure, run the hospitals, run the police service. Very simple. That's all the government has to do. They don't have to sit there and try and work out the proportions of black people, Indian people. It's ridiculous. It's not the job of government. Their job is to build infrastructure, to make sure that the trains run, gets to the ports, and there's a crane to put your stuff onto a ship, and away it goes. South Africa's got some wonderful tourism opportunities. We've got game parks in the north, we've got beautiful seaside, etc. What is the problem with us unlocking tourism? We're going back to safety and security. We're going back to over-regulation of providers of those particular services, so hotels, etc., where we've got Swiss-like legislation around everything, instead of South Africa being a fun place to come. We've got a dirty country. A dirty country. Why do we have a dirty country? We've got a dirty country because people do not have pride in the country. Pride comes from the government. Pride comes from the government not allowing excuses for its own behavior or its citizens' behavior, to say, come on, stop it. You also have a thing called municipal bylaws. These are laws at local level that's meant to give you a fine if you go through a red light, or give you a fine if you litter or dump. But instead, what do our municipal police do, our metro police? They do roadblocks late at night, in the hope that they can get some guys who had too much to drink so that they can get a bribe out of them. Get those people out there doing their implementing the municipal bylaws and making South Africa a more friendly place to visit. We will have a flood of tourism if we did that. Very rich people. Not that hard to do. Okay? It all starts in the same place. There's not a lot that government needs to focus on. Instead, they're trying to manage science and technology. Are you joking? They're trying to run training for a company through CETAs. These things are just costing money. It's just a haven of corruption, and it's not adding any value. Which brings me to probably the most important thing, and that is, let's create a vision for this country. Can you imagine that we are in a proper country that has never really had a vision? What is the vision for South Africa? The last time an attempt was given at a vision was that terrible document called the National Development Plan, where 1,000 people took 1,000 days to come out with this tome. And it's a wish list. It's a hope list. It is the most ridiculous thing. It manages every part of your life, supposed to be. And it was meant to make South Africa something by 2030. And it was such a big, useless document because you couldn't write it on a postcard. You needed a book yay thick to explain to people. So nobody read the damn thing. Right? Because it was rubbish. It was a wish list. It was terrible. Instead of saying, like other countries, this is our vision. Now, let me give you a good vision. India's got a vision to be a first world country by 2047. They said, in order to do this, we must do this, we must do this, we must do that. We must build roads, we must build ports, we must do this, we must do that. That's what government has to do. The citizen will do the rest. Who doesn't want to live in a country that is a first world country? Which South African doesn't want to make this place better? Well, the only people that don't really seem to want to make this place better are our politicians. But the rest of us do. If you're a businessman, you want everybody to be rich. You'll make more money out of it. So let's get a vision. Let's get a vision. How about this for a vision? Just easy. You know, in the mid-2000s, we were creating 500,000 jobs per year. We did that for nearly 6 years. And then what did the geniuses in the ANC say? Oh, we're not creating enough jobs. That's 3 million people that got jobs in that period. Right. Since then, they decided to stop with those ideas, bring in Jacob Zuma, and we lost all of those jobs and then some. Let's create 500,000 jobs a year. Jobs create jobs, create jobs. Economic growth creates economic growth. So let's create 500,000 jobs. Let's eradicate shacks by 2030. We just set that as a target for this country. Eradicate shacks by 2030. Much like we've seen the Minister of Basic Education eradicate pit toilets in a matter of 6 months. We just eradicate them. They cannot be. Finished. The local authority has to do something about it. The people have to do something about it. They are going to not exist after 2030. And that clock strikes 12 on January the 1st, 2030. All shacks are gone. And we do everything towards doing that. Then the last thing that I'm going to end this with is, I said to you that the government needs to provide a safety for their people, opportunities for their people, and happiness. Let's just cool down. Let's just stop dividing each other. Wouldn't it be nice if a government official made a speech that didn't end with the injustices of the past or divide South Africans? Let's just get us all on the same page and we can celebrate what is good about South Africa. I promise you, the psychology of it all, the best psychology in the world and the most successful psychology in the world has been America selling the American dream. It's a very simple thing, and people can interpret it differently, but those citizens wake up in the morning and say, you know what, maybe I can make it. Maybe I've got a dream. Maybe this is my dream and I can make it come to light. Let's have the South African dream. Now, I'm going to end it over there, and I want to say to all of you, let's be proud of South Africa. Let us focus on what we share, not what makes us different. Let's be happy about this country. Let's make it a successful country and move forward. So this is a slightly different one. I believe it's doable. Do our politicians. Support Pace Car Rental. They're supporting us. Like and subscribe this channel. We'll see you again on the State of the Nation Weekly Update.